We must all do theatre to find out who we are and what we can become. Being a teacher is not more just about academics. We are the facilitators who have a task to help a child discover himself among all other things. At Downtown School, we understand this responsibility and take it very seriously. And hence, we have associated with Agora, an arts and culture facilities center in Guwahati, to bring in dramatics in our classroom, in our curricula. And I'm pleased to introduce you all to Ms. Radhika Goswami, the director of Agora, who has joined us today to discuss the importance of this crucial inclusion by us. Ms. Radhika has done her MA in social anthropology from School of Oriental and African Studies, London, and is an alumnus of St. Stephen's College, Delhi. With many awards and extensive research work under her belt, she's all set to train and shape our kids. Welcome, Ms. Radhika. Welcome to the Downtown School.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. And it's a pleasure to be here, and it's such an exciting opportunity to associate with Downtown School on what what we consider an important task ahead of us, and especially when we are talking about bringing theatre into the classrooms. I think this just building on this relationship between Agora and Downtown School, I would like to say that thank you again for the opportunity and thank you for approaching us to do this because I think it would be a great way for us to also learn the school setting and also the give and take would be, I think, beautiful,
Yes,
a journey.
mutually beneficial, and I'm looking forward that of all the other people, our little men and women who are in my school benefit the most. So let's not waste more time, and let us first begin by understanding what exactly is bringing dramatization in the teaching and learning process. What, according to you, is it exactly all about?
Okay, so just to start off, what is theater exactly, right? Like the way that I understand theater is quite literally and figuratively putting a person in another person's shoes, in the most conventional sense of the word. And when we talk about bringing dramatics into the classroom, what we are essentially talking about is introducing a learning experience based on experiential learning, based on learning that goes beyond the conventional classroom as we know it today. So when we talk about theater in those lines, it's to talk about how we have associated the world around us with our own conceptions and ideas of the world, and how we can represent them in our thoughts, in our actions, our behaviors, and mindset. So, what theater does in this crucial juxtaposition of all these concepts that I have just talked about is that it allows us to not just understand or learn uh, an aspect of the world from the books. It allows us to almost be part of that world and understand how we can react to that. Um, so it's about how we understand people, right? And how we
Right.
understand each other in the process of this learning. So when we talk about academics now, for example, the subjects that we have, be it English, be it social sciences, be it science, math, all of these subjects can actually can be brought into the gambit of dramatics or use dramatics in some parts to actually learn about them a little bit more. And the advantage of doing that is that we are not just teaching from the books. We are asking the students to apply the knowledge from the books to on an experiential level where they understand the real life repercussions, the real life techniques and experiments, and real life application of all the subjects that have been taught to them.
Oh, wonderful. So,
Apart from that,
I'm
what
very,
I would like to
yeah,
emphasize.
yes, sorry, go on.
Apart from that, I would also like to emphasize that our goal at Agora has always been to introduce well being through the arts and culture. And so when we what we hope to bring to the table at Downtown School is also to work with the students to provide them psychological support.
Great. I think, Radhika, there is a disturbance in your network. You're getting blurred.
Um, Let me just, okay. Give me maybe like, let me just switch the network.
Yes.
Is this better?
Yes, much better. Much better. Can you speak something? I think it's lagging a bit. Um,
I can hear you quite well without any lag, but
okay.
yes,
Yeah, you're also better now. So I think maybe you can switch off your WhatsApp notifications because they are blinking.
yes, I've done that. I've done that
Yeah.
for now. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So we left at the
Right.
first question. I'll continue now. Okay.
Right.
Well, I'm very happy that you brought out this aspect of experiential learning because that is exactly what the NEP is talking about, the CBSE is talking about. And I'm really happy, you can look at the smile on my face that we are already on the path of implementation of the new policies. So great, awesome. I also want to know, now did mention that, bringing dramatization in the classroom is going to help the children in the areas of personal development. But I am an academician, so tell me, how can you relate this with the academics, or how, in which areas of academics can I use this?
Right. As I mentioned, so some subjects benefit out of dramatics more than others. If I'm to give an example, any kind of literature-based subject can use theater quite seamlessly. Like it can fit in seamlessly. But then again, if we are looking at social sciences, that's an important aspect that we can also integrate dramatics into. Um, so the model that we hope to use with Downtown School would definitely include the new CBSE guidelines from the handbook, where they talk about learning skills, literacy skills, and life skills.
Yes.
So all three of these would enable us to create a framework for the students to not just talk about one specific subject, but we could use some of the subjects that are already taught in school and implement dramatics into them so that we are expanding on these subjects. So, say
Wonderful.
for example, when we are talking about political issues, or we are talking about social aspects of how we live in this world, how governments work, how societies work, we can also look at techniques such as theater of the press, which is a technique introduced by Augusta Bowl. And we hope to implement a lot of those techniques in the applied theater realm to talk to the students about not just the academics that they are already being taught in the different classes, but hope to bring a world view or a world perspective into those classrooms as well.
Yes, yes, I do appreciate this process that you have already planned for my children in downtown school, and it's very interesting to also understand that there is something called World English which is coming in place now, or bringing internationalism towards the classroom or in the classroom now, which are a very crucial aspect again of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Great, we are on a right path, and I'm very happy about that. Now, again, like my next question was again whether it is specific to a particular subject or it can be used all across the subject. You did mention it briefly that literature is an area where it can be extensively used. But apart from
Yes.
literature, I'm sure there would be scope with your expertise to use it in other subjects.
Of course. And I mean, when we talk about applied theater, we are also talking about bringing in, different creative fields and give the students an opportunity to explore these different creative fields along with theater. Say, for example, we want to work with craft with them, we want to work with different kinds of theater techniques, right? So that would include music, that would include movement. And
True.
so I think what we're not just focusing on literature in terms of just one particular subject, especially not just English, especially also because we belong to the Northeast, we belong to Assam. We want to bring in those, cultural heritage that we have from Assamese theater as well, and
Great.
allow the students to explore their cultural heritage through theater, and also just in general engage with the material that we have regionally as well as globally, so that they are well equipped to go into the world with a sense of pride of where they come from, and a sense of pride that they belong to the world as a global citizen.
Wonderful, wonderful. You would be wondering why am I beaming so much? Because yet again we are touching upon another aspect of CBSE. Because CBSE has been harping upon bringing out the locally available resource and locally available exemplars to the students in the classroom, especially for the primary people, the primary kids, because that is where they relate the most easiest manner. So I'm very
Mhm.
glad that you're also thinking on the terms of bringing out the Assamese theaters or the Assamese poets, for that matter, or literature, Assamese literature as well in action with our children, making them aware and bringing them closer to home, like I say. So wonderful. Now, Radhika, I am very, very tempted uh, to see one example. Can you give us one example, one extensive example of how you're going to take theater to my classroom? I mean, how are you going to do that? An elaborate example. I'll be really interested.
Well, I guess then it's story time a little bit.
Okay.
Little tiny story from my own
Yes.
experience of doing theater workshops with. So this was, I think, in 2018 when we had a group of students from a counseling institute in Manipur come in to Agora, and so it's the reason why I bring up this group is because. Most groups actually come with the notion when you talk about theater, and they do not actually come from a gambit where theater is extensively used. They come in with the expectation that, oh, you'd have to have a narrator, oh, you'd have to do certain things a certain way, oh, I'm not an actor, and these are preconceived notions that we kind of come in to dramatics with. But the idea would be to actually break those notions using applied theater techniques with the students, because say for example, you and I, the way we are talking today, and when you go home you talk to your family very differently, you talk to your
True.
students very differently. So we do
True.
don these different roles all throughout life, and we do it quite unconsciously when we are going through life. The only thing that I would like to kind of highlight while using dramatics in the classroom is to be aware and be more mindful of how we react and act in situations. So, with this group that had come in from Manipur, they were young students, not more than 18 to 21 years old, and they also came in with these notions, of course. But what we essentially do in these workshops is try and find out some of the issues that the institute that they belong to has probably wanted to be emphasized on, or they in themselves as individuals want emphasized. And we tried to create a theater, a small skit with them. So the initial skit that they had done with a narrator who would
Oh,
take you through step by step with everything happening in the play, and they would have very conventional ideas of what a mother would look like, what a father would look like, what the child should be doing. And I think once we started, we did that as a preliminary skit, and then we came back to talk about how there are very different perspectives from where you can look at a person, like not a
true.
mother as a role can be very complex. It doesn't have to be a certain way. So I think when we started talking about these things and we started rehearsing it out to talk about the issue at large, we were talking about substance abuse at that point. But what came about in the final play was something very, very beautiful, because they did away with the narrator who would take you through every single scene. Rather, they kind of left it up to the interpretation of the audience, and they used these characters that they had already built, of the mother, of the father, in a way where there were more nuances, there were more, I think, complexities to these characters, because we understand that, like, there's not a unidimensional mother or unidimensional father. And I think that was a beautiful process to see, that they could
Hello?
come up and they could allow their creativity to go beyond the conventional. So essentially what we want to also bring to downtown school is that children already are so creative in their own right. So we don't want to impose on them techniques, or we don't want to impose on them creative thoughts
True.
that are ours. We would rather
True.
that they let us know and they inform us of where they want the story to go.
True. Yes. Wow. That seemed very very interesting, and I really do agree with this thought process of yours that it's important now of all the other times now to polish and nourish the creativity of the child above all other things, because that is the only way where they can tackle the unforeseen future, which they are, which for which we are preparing them, in fact. Radhika,
Absolutely.
this is yeah, this
In
is my
fact, I
last
would like to
question.
actually,
Yeah, please,
before we
please.
go on to the last question, ma'am, I would actually like to thank you as well, because, when we were coming up with the framework for creative outlets and expressions, as we are calling the classes,
Yeah.
one of the major things that we wanted to include, and thanks to you that we could include, was the monthly circle time.
Yes.
So the circle time that you had suggested, and we adapted into our
Yes.
curriculum.
How beautifully
Uh,
you have done that.
So we definitely feel like that would be one class, or that would be one session every month, where the children are not just taken through these exercises or these role plays or the other things that are included in the curriculum, but that would be one time where we allow these children to express themselves in however way they want,
Yes.
form their
Yes.
opinions
Absolutely.
on particular topics. And as I mentioned before, when we were talking about psychosocial support, I think one of the major, needs of the hour is to actually allow the child to be as expressive about hardships that he or she is going through.
Absolutely.
And I
Absolutely.
think we can use circle time as the most, to its utmost
Effective.
potential, when we are allowing the students to just come and have a conversation and
Express.
form
Yes.
opinions, express themselves, be it through their body, be it through verbally, be it through music, however they feel like doing it, but to kind of uh, have that space to just have a voice.
I agree. Yes.
So I would like to thank you
Yes.
for that.
Awesome. No, come on, that's a part of our job. Well, like I mentioned, the last question that I want to ask you here is again a bit more of me being in the academics. We have been talking and we have been hearing a lot about art integration into the classrooms and art integration in teaching and learning process. So, do you think that we can use dramatics or dramatization to integrate two subjects, like say for example mathematics, and I'm a very bad student of mathematics, okay, but if I have a help of dramatics and literature to integrate the certain concepts of mathematics, do you think it is possible? Can we do that? Can we try that experimentations with our children?
Of course, this is what it is about, right? We are definitely in a new precedent at this point. So, of course, I mean, math is a subject that can be taught through dramatics. In fact, there are institutes that are already doing it, and
Wow.
what we I would like to kind of get at here would be, if we are integrating maths with English, or we are integrating science with social sciences, all of these subjects are quite I mean, they're not standalone subjects. They could have correlation among each other. So, quite simply put, of course, we can use applied theater because we already have games where we use numbering, where we
Yes.
use, the number system. Uh, and what like our long term goal with the school would be to actually allow the students to take up play entirely on their own, starting from the conception of the
Production.
play to the final play being put up in front of an audience. And when you do that, you're not just using one particular subject. Of course, you're using probably literature as more of the script work, but you're also using so many different cognitive skills that you possess. You're using motor skills, cognitive skills. And here, if you are, say for example, buying production work, I mean, you're already doing addition and subtraction in those
Yes.
roles. I mean, it's a very I think small example to give here, but I'm just saying
No,
that
but a very crucial one. Yes.
if you are in, like, we the way we use maths, I'm sorry to say, like, I'm also not a very good math student, but I used to enjoy it at some point. uh but we don't use algebra, say for example, in everyday life all the time, but we do use it. Or like we use geometry, or we use, of course, the addition, subtraction, multiplication on a daily basis, and we do it quite unconsciously at this point,
Yes.
without really feeling like, oh, I hated maths, or I'm very, very scared of maths, I can't do this. Of course, it takes a little bit more time, but I think if we normalize these topics
Correct.
and say that, okay,
Correct.
you can, it's very easy to make mistakes, and as humans we do make mistakes. Our role here as the facilitator bringing in dramatics is to not kind of make the student feel conscious of these mistakes, but actually talk about how these mistakes are very natural to be made, but the most important thing is what we have learned from them and how we move ahead.
Great. Yes. So, yes, art integrated learning, AIL as they call it now, is really a very, how should I say, a very nice change, a very fresh change for a lot of teachers as well as students. And wow, I'm happy that we are already incorporating it, yet another aspect of the NEP and the CBSC into our primary sections already. So, well, thank you so much, Radhika, for helping us understand these details at such a great length. I'm really excited to attend a few of your classes in our school. I will be very honest about it. So, thank you so much once again.
Thank you
I'm
so
not
much
a
for having me.
teacher. Yes, I'm not a teacher, but an awakener, said Robert Frost. And how true, you know. So, with a hope to stimulate and awaken the young, curious minds in the right way, along with Miss Radhika here, I sign off today. Hope to see you all with yet another expert very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mal, for having me. And I look forward to starting the classes as soon as possible, and just working with you, the school, and the young minds that we have in front of us. So thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a good day.